Hi guys and welcome back to JankQuest. Today we've got another PTCG deck profile for you. We're looking at a deck that's actually been around and prevalent in the meta since its release in November 2021 as part of our Fusion Strike set, and that deck is MEW VMAX. Since its release, the deck has proven to be a consistently dominant force. This is evidenced since competitive play resumed back in March 2022 and saw MEW taking third place at Liverpool Regionals, piloted by Lennart Timmers, fourth place at EUIC with Mateusz Rusnik, and 6th place at the World Championships with Andre Chason, his deck actually being printed and named Shape of MEW. In addition to this, the Pokemon Company launched the MEW VMAX League Battle deck in November 2022 due to the popularity and success of the deck, making it more accessible for everyone to utilise. But you might be wondering why we're looking at MEW DTE rather than just MEW. This is due to there being two prevalent variations of the deck available to use, where a divide was created around the launch of Lost Origin back in September 2022, with the other original version of the deck being the Fusion build. However, even with this divide and the launch of Scarlet and Violet at the end of March 2023, MEW VMAX has maintained its spot as a top tier deck, most recently with Pablo Meza, who took MEW DTE to a 3rd place finish at EUIC in April this year. But what makes MEW VMAX so great? Well, let's take a look. First of all, MEW VMAX has two attacks that you want to focus on. First attack being the Cross Fusion Strike, which is the main one we're looking at. So for a single double turbo energy, hence the name of the deck DTE, will let you copy the attack of a bench Fusion Strike Pokemon without putting them at risk and forcing your opponent to break down MEW's impressive HP. And the second one for Max Miracle, which is a great attack as well and allows you to break down walls. This is important for the deck's success, especially as it grants access to other MEW and MEW VMAX to copy the aforementioned Max Miracle, but also MEW's Psychic Leap. This attack allows you to shuffle the Pokemon and all attached cards back into your deck, which not only recycles resources but also protects from KOs. But mainly we're looking to utilise Genesect V's Technoblast, which hits for an impressive 210 damage. Even though double turbo energy will reduce this by 20, a choice belt will load this back up to 220, which is a perfect number for a KO on Pokemon V and basic Pokemon EX. And although it can't be used on the next turn, MEW's free retreat easily allows you to switch with a second MEW VMAX to string successful attacks each turn. The deck also centres heavily around Genesect's Fusion Strike system ability, allowing you to draw cards until you have as many cards in hand as Fusion Strike Pokemon in play, which isn't limited to once per turn but instead once per Genesect. This allows you to quickly find the necessary resources needed to complete consistently successful plays each turn. So let's have a look at the DTE version of MEW VMAX and all the other cards that make the build. So we'll start the build with the previously mentioned MEW VMAX, which we're running 3 copies. Then we're running MEW V with 4 copies, with Genesect V also being played as a 4 count. The only other card we're playing in addition to this in terms of Pokemon is the Oricorio, which has a great ability, Lessening Zeal, which reduces the damage done to Fusion Strike Pokemon by 20, which can really help this deck's survivability, especially in the mirror match. But we also have access through Cross Fusion Strike again to the Glistening Droplets attack, which allows us to place 5 damage counters on our opponent's Pokemon in any way we like. This is great for bench sniping, as the damage counters not damaged to this won't be blocked by the likes of Manaphy and can in some instances lead to multiple KOs if you're targeting Pokemon with existing damage on them. We'll move on to the other cards that are specific to the strategy of a DTE build. We're going to be playing 3 copies of Judge, 3 copies of Lost Vacuum, and 3 copies of Path to the Peak. So the aim of this deck being to draw with Genesect until you have the cards you need in hand to successfully path your opponent to shut off their abilities, Judge to disrupt their hand and consequently their next play, and then execute your attack aiming to take a KO, all while retaining a Lost Vacuum in hand to successfully discard your own path on the following turn to once again grant you access to your own abilities. And then we're looking to rinse and repeat this cycle. The other cards that round off this build of MEW are fairly common inclusions for both builds, but we're going to be playing 2 copies of the Boss's Orders for classic gusting ability, 1 copy of Roxanne for late game hand disruption, and then a new card as an inclusion in Arven. So Arven's a great addition which allows access to an item card and a tool card. This allows us access to Forest Sealstone a lot quicker than it has done in previous iterations of the deck. We're then playing classic 4 copies of Battle VOP Pass. For early game setup, thanks to a consistent draw of Genesect, this is more than possible. 4 copies of Ultra Ball, again a great way to get Pokemon out, but also lets you discard 2 to lower your hand size. Power Tablet is another important 4 which will increase the damage output by 30 for each Power Tablet you use that turn. This helps us get KOs on the higher HP Pokemon that would otherwise cause a problem. Then we're playing 4 copies of Cramomatic, which will allow us to discard another item card in order to search our deck for any card. And then an inclusion that I personally like with this is retaining 4 copies of Cross Switcher, which just gives an extra layer to the gustability of the deck. And although the deck lost Quick Ball to rotation, we're going to be utilising 2 copies of Nest Ball alongside 1 copy of Featherball, which is great because it allows access to MEW and MEW VMAX. With this we're going for 1 copy of Echoing Horn, which will allow us to bring back a Pokemon that's within KO range. We're going for 2 copies of Choice Belt, 2 copies of Switch, and 2 copies of Forest Sealstone. And then we're rounding the deck out with 1 copy of Collapse Stadium, with the final cards in the deck being just 4 copies of the double turbo energy needed to execute our attacks. And that's it for today guys from DTE. Thank you for joining us again. If you haven't already, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one.